Great, thanks a lot, Tom. Since the earliest recorded history, we've had examples of responsible business practices. For example, commercial logging operations and laws to protect forests can both be traced back almost 5,000 years. And in ancient Mesopotamia, builders, innkeepers, and farmers were actually punished if their negligence caused major inconvenience to local citizens. But I'd say that many attribute the modern incarnation of corporate social responsibility to Harvard Business School Dean Wallace B. Dunham, who, in an address delivered at Northwestern University, stated that business started long centuries before the dawn of history, but business as we now know it is new. New in its broadening scope, new in its social significance. Business has not learned how to handle these changes, nor does it recognize the magnitude of its responsibilities for the future of civilization. And I would agree with Dunham that we're seeing really a new face to business. Between the late 20th century and today, we've really begun to see the mainstreaming of corporate social responsibility, with the creation of broadly accepted standards and reporting guidelines, with the recognition that companies are getting for being socially responsible, and with companies really beginning to genuinely tackle some of the world's biggest social and environmental issues. But I think it's really worth considering why this has been occurring, and taking a look at the major drivers of corporate social responsibility. A couple big issues: changing stakeholder priorities, new supply chain demands that companies are facing, competitive advantage opportunities that come from CSR, new technologies and changes in the media, environmental issues, globalization issues, government and regulation, and also pressure and partnership opportunities from non-governmental organizations. So I'm going to start out just by running through some of the major issues, some of the major drivers that are pushing forward corporate social responsibility in the 21st century. To start out with stakeholder priorities, and the first big one here is the public at large. Over the past few decades, we've seen heightened public expectations for the responsible behavior of businesses. For example, according to the 2010 Trust Barometer, a survey put out every year by Edelman, 70% of respondents suspected that businesses and financial companies were going to revert to old habits, to old kind of unethical ways of doing business. This was the expectation from respondents. Now, whether due to scandals or perceptions of greed, due to kind of an ability for the public to be more informed about a company's actions, or even perhaps an increased awareness that people have now about how businesses can actually contribute, the opportunities for businesses to contribute to social progress, to things like disaster response and social innovation. More and more individuals are just expecting businesses to be socially responsible and to engage in socially responsible business practices. But the next major stakeholder issue is about the investment community. Socially responsible investment is now a huge business around the world. For example, there are currently, I think, 500 signatories to the United Nations Principles for Responsible Investment, and this represents almost $18 trillion US dollars in assets. Meanwhile, global socially responsible investment funds are now worth nearly $5 trillion. But socially responsible investment is actually still a new concept to many investors. But indices such as the FTSE for Good, the Dow Jones Sustainability Indexes, and the Jansi Social Index are really helping socially responsible investment become more mainstream, pushing it forward. And we're also seeing many individual shareholders, as well as institutional shareholders, bringing their social concerns straight into the boardroom, increasingly demanding reporting on CSR performance from companies that they invest in. The other major stakeholder group that's pushing forward CSR are consumers themselves. The growing popularity of ethical consumerism over the last 2 decades has really prompted a wave of action from many businesses that are trying to respond to ethical consumerism, to respond to these demands. We've seen organic food, of course, fair trade food, green cleaning supplies, child labor-free clothing and goods. Consumers are really just starting to consider the social and environmental impacts of their purchases and the products that they buy. Ethical consumerism has become a multi-billion-dollar industry, and many businesses are emerging solely to focus on selling products and services that address this market, this ethical consumption market. Finally, the last major stakeholder group, pressure group that I want to mention are individuals inside of companies, the owners, the managers, and the employees in many businesses who have begun pushing for social and environmental initiatives simply to help give their work more meaning. Many business owners have realized that their companies can help contribute to society while increasing their own competitiveness and business success. Employees have felt the need to give their work more meaning as well, and have often been a very persuasive group in swaying businesses to be more socially responsible through their own grassroots efforts. We're also seeing major MBA programs educating their students on the importance of CSR. So we're going to get a new generation of managers and executives who have really been primed, who have really been bred for responsible business, and are going to bring those methods to work. Next major category involves supply chain demands. In the past, business-to-business companies that sell directly to other businesses rather than to consumers, they were largely able to dodge the social and environmental concerns of individual consumers. They were able to avoid ethical consumerism concerns. But today we're starting to see that disappear as more and more businesses, big businesses like Pepsi, Walmart, Panasonic, Loblaws, you name it, they're enforcing CSR criteria on their suppliers, and as these criteria become increasingly popular, it's going to be up to suppliers really to integrate corporate social responsibility into their strategy, into their operations, if they're going to maintain sales and stay competitive. On that note, competitive advantage itself is really helping to drive forward corporate social responsibility. Today's economy really has global competition, making it much more difficult for businesses to thrive. And many companies are looking at corporate social responsibility as a strategy that they can use to help maintain their competitive advantage. Because, as we'll talk about a bit later when Tom talks about the business benefits of CSR, businesses that are socially responsible can enjoy several benefits that can help to, for example, cut costs, increase their revenues, reduce waste, achieve operational efficiencies, protect themselves from fluctuations in energy and commodity prices, engage their workforce and heighten morale, and also enhance their brand image and their reputation.